You are listening to Process with Broads and D-Ray.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the third episode of Processed. We are recording this on Sunday, so it is Easter. I hope everybody enjoyed their Easter because this will be released on Monday. D-Ray, what are you up to today?
Hey, man, I'm chilling. Obviously, I'm not at my studio, so, a little different look, but I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's not like we can leave the house, so we are trapped inside having a smaller Easter this year, but it will be very entertaining, very fun, share some laughs, have some good food. So that's what it's all about. Exactly. So what we're going to do, though, we're going to slide in some time to talk some basketball because that's what we do. We breed this sport, so we need to talk some hoops.
Oh, man, let's do it.
So we are going to start with a report that came out there. I guess it was an article, not so much a report, by Bleacher Report. And they put out the top duos in the NBA from this season that stopped so suddenly on us. And you wouldn't believe where Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid fell. If you had to guess, where do you think they put him at?
I mean, obviously, we're going to say top 10. I can't think of 10 other, shall I say, duos that are better than them, but something tells me they didn't fall there, the way you're talking about it.
Yeah, they didn't. Oh, they didn't. They fell 14th.
How far was it?
14th. So I guess you would say just around middle of the pack, and I believe that is nuts.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Hold on.
The way I describe
Bleacher Report?
Yes. The way I describe this is, I don't know if you follow Pro Football Focus, but they always throw out these grades where this guy's great, this guy's elite, and this offensive line's the best in the league, and it's full of shit. I put this in the same exact category.
Yeah, this looks like clickbait. All right, so they're 14, and right behind them is Trae Young and John Collins.
That's what I wanted to see. It wasn't so much about, and we're going to get through this list and look at who was 1, who was 2, who was 3. But real quick, when I saw them at 14, to me, the first thing I thought about wasn't to see who was 1. It was to see who they were surrounded by. And you have John Collins and Trae Young, along with Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio right above them. That's not even a duo. That's a one-man show.
Yeah, these aren't fair. Like, these aren't like, they just took the top 2 players from each team and called them a duo. Like, to be a duo, somebody got to see both of y'all and be like, all right, this is a problem. You know what I mean? Nah.
The thing is, though, I don't feel like they just threw this out there and said, oh, let's see what happens. I believe they truthfully believe that this is the list. They actually believe that this is true. Now, what type of statistics and analytics they use to come up with these answers, I don't have that information. But I don't think they just randomly said, all right, let's start pissing people off and throwing it together. They believe this.
I don't know. I feel like that's exactly what they did. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Like, this is another level of bad. No.
Number 9. All right. We're not going to jump around. It makes sense to start off with number 1, right? Okay. I mean, that makes the most sense. Number 1 is Giannis and Chris Middleton. To some extent, this is very similar to Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio in terms of this is somewhat of a one-man show. Now, I'm not knocking Chris Middleton. He has value. They paid him a lot of money. He can knock down shots, and he's a good Robin, if you will. He's not the greatest Robin, but that's his role. Mm-hmm. It's a one-man show. The Greek Freak is the star of the NBA.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like this list is some bullshit. That's not. I mean, Chris Middleton is a bad MF. Like, you can't take that from him. Like you said, they paid him a shit ton of money. He's doing his thing. He's up there in three-point percentage, but not a duo. I would have to give LeBron AD the best one, and they got them at number 2. But if I had to talk about like the best duo, like when they're on the floor and they're clicking together, I'd probably say LeBron AD right now.
I couldn't agree more. LeBron and AD, they complement each other so well.
Of course you couldn't agree more. It's LeBron.
What do you mean? I'm not. You said it first. You said it. I'm just coming in. You know what I mean? I'm just coming in and agreeing with you. The way they play together on the floor, I didn't know how LeBron was going to react coming back from the injury and playing point guard as his legit role. Adding Anthony Davis, I didn't know what it would be like. this is what I love about this, and this is where my LeBron love comes into play. AD, without LeBron, good player, and he's at the top of the league, good player. LeBron has totally changed everybody's opinion on Anthony Davis because he's playing so well. And it's obvious to me as a basketball fan that LeBron is creating so many opportunities for AD. Now, he's delivering and he's hitting those shots because he is a good player. But what LeBron has done to AD's career this season is insane.
All right, I'm going to say this. This is the first time in a while LeBron has played with another player this magnitude, and it's been like, oh my God, it's working out. So I'm going to give respect where it's due, but this ain't common. This is not common as of late. LeBron, as of these past couple of years, he gets a hand on like some of these younger stars, and all of a sudden it's like they got the Space Jam juice. What happened? I'm not saying that he's a bad guy. I'm just saying, if anything, this is uncharacteristic for LeBron.
No. Do you remember that shit that he brought to the NBA Finals with Cleveland? J.R. Smith, who doesn't even know what the time left is on the clock. He was bringing crap to the finals every single year. It wasn't about having that superstar. He was bringing slop.
What you mean every single year? The year before that, they were in the no, you can't say every single year.
Okay, every year is pushing it.
Oh, I'm about to say he had Kyrie and Kevin Love most of the not Kevin Love, but Kyrie most of the year.
No, they were injured. They were banged up. They were injured. They weren't able to play. And here he comes with me and you on the floor, ready to go to the title every single year. So it's not as if he had these outstanding players all the time. He did it with those guys. I'm not denying that. And he did go to Miami and he did team up with players. But even when he didn't have those players, he still did. Do I have to bring up Iguodala's MVP again? That finals MVP and the numbers that LeBron averaged?
Iggy the finesse. I love it. He got away with one. I love it.
So number 3 on the list, now that we got the LeBron conversation out of the way, although I do sense that it might come back, is James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
I can stand behind that one.
You can. See, I disagree. They are two great players, but I don't see them as this ultimate duo. So we just talked about LeBron and AD and how they play well together. And I would even say that Chris Middleton and Giannis play well together. They complement each other. It's not like Chris Middleton doesn't complement him. He does. This is just two guys playing isolation ball. Hey, you stand here and you do isolation. Then the next time down the court, I'll play isolation. And Russell Westbrook, to me, is a guy who has great individual talent, but it never results in anything.
I get that. But this is the reason I stand behind them. I feel like some duos are just like that. Like, I think of Kobe and Shaq. Kobe could obviously get a bucket whenever he wants to create his own shot. He'd throw a lob every now and then to Shaq or behind the back pass on the trail, but Shaq didn't need him to get a bucket. So I feel like, they don't exactly work as well and complementary as LeBron and AD do, but that's a duo in the sense of when both of them are clicking, you're not beating this team. And to me, that's what I define a duo as. That's why I say I'd probably put Paul George and Kawhi in front of them, but that's not that bad to me either.
Harden and Westbrook, to me, will be a duo that doesn't really work. I don't watch them and say, damn, damn, it's going to be tough to go up against these guys. I just don't see that. Maybe I have a strong, not hate. I don't want to go hate, but I don't like Russell Westbrook. I think he's a very athletic player, and he always plays hard. It's not like he's a lazy guy, but his stats are going in the wrong direction. He can't shoot the ball from three. He doesn't relate to winning, in my opinion. That's all. For some reason, his style of play doesn't relate to winning. So that's why I don't like him as a basketball player. I don't know if I would want him on the 76ers.
Oh, no, I agree with that completely. He's definitely a stat chaser. I mean, I think he's a winner, but like at the end of the day, if it's about which one would you sacrifice. I don't feel like he's willing to sacrifice too many stats for the sake of winning. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the problem in Houston just stops with him. I go as far back to say it's Mike D'Antoni's issue. I don't feel like they're ever going to make it look right down there with Mike D'Antoni leading that team, because he's such an offensive coach. If the offense is being taken care of, cool. Nothing else seems to matter. And that's what kills them every year, when they actually got to play somebody, some defense, some consistent defense, shall I say.
You mentioned stat chasing.
Yeah.
Some people would say that's what Ben Simmons does. He gets these triple doubles. It's all about, oh, look at the triple doubles. It's not so much in terms of points, because he's not a big point guy, Ben Simmons, but he just worries about the triple doubles in the regular season. I'm not going to lie to you. As much as I love Ben Simmons, my biggest fear is he turns into a Russell Westbrook, in terms of, here's a guy who's super talented individually. He's very athletic. He plays super hard, but it doesn't relate to anything. That's always my biggest fear that I never really said before. Just deep down, that's what happens when I watch the two play.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that's a fair fear. Like, I definitely could see a scenario where he's just out there. Like, I mean, we talked about it last week. We talked about, like, the 3-point shooting. It's like 3-point shooting. At the end of the day, it brings down his percentage. You know what I mean? Like, that's a stat that you're trying to secure. If everything is, take it from me, if everything is a dunk or a layup, I got a pretty good field goal percentage. At the end of the day, that's a stat that matters. Like, it doesn't matter just what you shot from the field, but it's how often did you shoot and what's that percentage like. So I could definitely see that. I think players nowadays are a little more cognizant of how quickly those things, translate to dollars or clout or whatever you want to call it. So I don't think that they're like bad guys necessarily, but you ain't gonna win with a guy who's always counting in his head either.
You got two contracts sitting in front of you. One says James Harden and Russell Westbrook. The other says Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. What are you signing up for?
Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid.
Okay. I think I would lean the same way. But James Harden, though, he's something. But once again, is he a guy that by himself will be able to deliver a championship? I don't think so. We are hoping that one day Ben Simmons grows into that. We already somewhat know that James Harden isn't going to be that guy to an extent. We don't know if Ben Simmons will or not yet, and I guess that's kind of where we're at. At least that's how I feel. Do you disagree with that statement?
James Harden is weird to me, man. He's a weird case because he's a guy who can play defense. And obviously, that's a lot of people's knock on him. He's a walking bucket. And I feel like they need to get some defensive pieces around him. Like, I do think he's the guy to lead a team to a championship, but not the Rockets, not what their scheme is now. But like I said, I take that problem as far as Mike D'Antoni. To me, every team Mike D'Antoni has been on, you think about, like, I'll straight up say it. When the Knicks had Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo, love what they had going on. And Mike D'Antoni got his hands on that, and I was just like, it was all offense. You can't win championships with just offense.
Absolutely. Hey, you're preaching to the choir over here, baby. Let's go. Love that D. I'm about to start smacking the floor right now. You're getting me so juiced up. Coming in at number 4, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Excuse me?
Exactly. What?
Excuse me?
Yeah, no.
See, this is where I think somehow analytically they came up with this based off of how well the Miami Heat did this year. So they used some sort of algorithm to come up with these two players. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Once again, we date this too. You have two contracts in front of you, Ben Simmons and Joel, or Jimmy Butler and Bam. It's a no-brainer that it's Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it's not even a question. I'm not saying that's not a dude, though. I love Bam. Like that, he's to me, he is the definition of be the MVP of your role. He don't do nothing uncharacteristic. He goes out there, he knows exactly what his job is, and he does it to the fullest. But him and Jimmy Butler is the best dude, the fourth best dude.
They have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George behind them. That's disrespectful. I mean, that's just straight up disrespectful. Kawhi Leonard, did you watch last year? Did you see what he did? Now, it's the best duo of this season, so that definitely is a factor in this list. Come on, Paul George and Kawhi? How are they behind Jimmy and Bam?
They had some injuries this year, and their year was kind of weird. I'm kind of disappointed in that, too, because I honestly thought that was going to be the best duo. You talk about, like, probably 2 top 5 two-way players. I ain't no problem about it. You have 2 top 5, if not top 3 two-way players. I'll put them in the same conversation with Klay Thompson as far as a guy who's going to give you a buck on offensive end, but you can depend on him time and time again on the defensive. I thought coming into this year they were going to be the best one. So I ain't gonna lie, I am kind of disappointed in them, but they're not better. I mean, they're not worse than Jimmy Butler and Bam.
I'm disappointed too, but I think that plays a factor because of how much they did the load management process. It would be Kawhi one night, Paul George the next night. Both guys got injured, as you talked about. They were a little banged up here and there. They just didn't have enough time to play together on the floor. I mean, they didn't play as much as we probably would have hoped, but they still are two lethal weapons, and both of them are better than both of Jimmy Butler and Bam. So we laid it out a couple times. Jimmy and Embiid, Joel and Ben Simmons, or certain players. Kawhi and Paul George, I'm taking any day of the week over Ben and Joel.
I'm cracking up how you just had some wishful thinking, like Jimmy and Embiid. Not anymore, but but yeah, no, I gotta take the Paul George. The maturity, the experience, like I said, like too lethal. They're not two-way players in the sense of they're guys who are gonna give you something on defense. Like, no, these are guys who can be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, but be top 10 in scoring. Like,
you know how much I love Ben Simmons. I'm driving him to the airport if this is possible. I'm driving both of them. And I don't know if Joel Embiid will fit in my Mazda 3. He might have to, I don't know. We might have to tie him to the top because I don't know if he would fit. But I am driving both of these guys right to the airport, and I'm picking up Kawhi and Paul George. That's a no-brainer. It's not even a conversation. It's not even a conversation. But what is, and this might be the best comparison, and I don't know if people are going to love that this is the best comparison, but at least this is how I see it. At number 6, it's Jokic and Jamal Murray. And I feel like that might be the most realistic comparison to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. In our eyes, as Sixers fans, where we love these two and we fell in love with them, trust the process, I feel like people might hear that and maybe throw up in their mouth a little bit out of disgust. But when you look at the league as a whole and you take some steps back and you take away the fan of you, I think that's a good comparison.
Rose, I ain't going to hold you. Like, I agree with you on that one. For sure. And I could see why at first it wouldn't seem like it, because the eye test, it's like, oh, well, Jamal Murray he's a 2-3, and Jokic is a point forward or whatever. But it's like, all right, you got one guy who can score, but pretty much is looking to pass, and that's his skill set. And the other guy, he's a microwave in some ways. He's looking to score, but the way they play off of each other more than anything, I think you got to look a little bit deeper than just the stats and the way they play. But I agree with you completely. Like I said, the eye test, that's why some people are going to say it doesn't make any sense at all. But it's like nobody looks like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons.
Right. Yeah, they're very unique in their own way. Jokic, though, he's this out-of-shape guy. He might be the best to relate to Joel Embiid. Out of shape, he's dribbling the ball up the floor. They run their offense through him at the top of the key sometimes as if he's the point guard. It's so funny to watch this guy. And he just has a unique style to him. It's not traditional. It's he's fat, he's out of shape. Now, real quick, did you happen to see that video on Jamal Murray's Instagram story by any chance?
No.
No, we're not going there? All right, next up. I don't know. Listen, hey, that's part of the storyline, right? Hey, I don't know. Anyway.
I was like, if he brings this up.
I'm bringing it up.
You gotta bring this up. I love it.
What I loved is the fact that he tried to play it off as if that wasn't him and someone hacked him. That's your girlfriend. It's literally his girlfriend. You think he got hacked?
You got hell no, he didn't get hacked. It's like you got to double check before you share. You know what I mean? Like you can tell he just clicked and put the phone down. Probably got a phone call in like 20 minutes. Like, yo, that wasn't just to me.
Listen, that wasn't 20 minutes. That was during it, which probably ruined it. And then, it doesn't, anyway. So, I'm still taking Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid over this combination.
Yeah. But I will say this. It'd be interesting to see what those two do in the East.
Wow.
At the end of the day, they're on Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good conversation to have right now. Would you think that these two players, Jamal Murray and Jokic, do you think that those two could win a championship? Because right now I'm sitting here saying no. And I'm relating them to the two stars here in Philly. So what am I saying? Am I saying that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are similar to that?
No, I feel like Joe. I feel like Joel and Ben have more firepower to win a championship. It's weird. I'm not saying they're not better than them, but they're better than them. They're more equipped to win a championship than those two.
Well,
I don't see them winning. No.
Well, look at Denver. They are at the top of the West. They compete at the top of the West. Mm-hmm. They would be lethal in the East. If they were third seed in the East, maybe it's a different conversation about them. Maybe they just get thrown under the radar because they are in the West with the Lakers, with the Clippers, with Houston. So, I don't know, but I don't look at those two and say those two can deliver an NBA championship. And I'm relating them to the two guys here. So to an extent, that somewhat concerns me. Maybe this was an awful idea to have this podcast.
No. We got to talk about it. I would say this, though, and I will say this about the West, because they were there last year. And when you started the playoff, you saw what happened. I feel like the West is a little more veteran served. So the playoffs for them is a completely different story. And it's weird, like when you look at the collective of Atlanta, you look at the collective age of the Sixers, you look at the collective age of the Pacers, the Bulls. Like the East just seems to be younger right now. So with the West, like, you could be there throughout the regular season, but their playoffs, them vets hit that switch, and you're dealing with a completely different team. Yeah, that's why I don't think they're gonna make it out of there.
I'm gonna suck myself back into believing because. I've been on the record so many times with this. You got to be in a certain age group to win NBA titles because it's a grown man's league. So right now, Jamal Murray's still a young player. He still has plenty of time to grow, and he's very fascinating to watch. These guys, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, they're not in that age bracket yet to start making legit runs. They are younger, and you look at the West, you are more veteran presence teams. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. It does have something to do with that. Number seven, Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. No-brainer. Once again, I'm driving them to the airport just based off of Luka Doncic. I would switch places because I think this kid is legit. He has that it factor. Like, it's so rare to have that it factor to the level he does, and he has it.
Yo. When he got drafted, I said that he was going to be as good as he was. People thought I was smoking dope.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing.
Listen. First of all, everybody forgets the first time we saw him was when he came over here and they played against the Thunder in that game. But that league he's in, that Euro league he's in, where a lot of guys who don't work out in the NBA go over there, or guys from over there come over here, to the NBA. Like, he was in that since he was like 15. He was playing against he was what a grown man's league, like legitimate 30-year-olds, and giving them work since he was 15. I'm sorry, like I don't think it's like hard to believe. He's just battle tested, but I don't think he's championship material either.
Wow,
I feel like you got not with Porzingis. I'm not scared of that. You're scared of that too? I wouldn't give them up for Ben and Joel.
I would, based off of just Luka Doncic. And we just got done saying that experience matters. He is super young. He is super young with a skill set that is disgusting. Yeah. I mean, he can literally do everything. When he's 27 years old, it's going to be dirty, and it's going to be worth watching, and it's going to be worth having him on the Sixers if that's the case. I'm sorry. I would have to do it for Luka Doncic. I mean, I'm sitting here telling you I would almost do it for him alone. I would give up both for him alone. Porzingis is the extra. Like, dude, I'll give you an extra $3. No, dude, damn right. Give me that extra $3. I'm sorry. I would have to do it. I think he is super special, and he will be. And remember draft night? Trae Young and the Mavericks, they did a swap. It was the Atlanta Hawks and the Mavericks, correct?
Yeah.
Both players, I would say, are phenomenal players and have bright futures. Think about Trae Young's position here. It's almost as if people look at the Hawks and say they got fleeced, yet they're still getting a starter in the All-Star game in Trae Young.
Yeah. I think they're definitely leaders of the new school, but you can't win a championship without defense. And neither Porzingis or Luka Doncic play phenomenal defense. Now, they scrubs, are they completely hiding? No. But that's to me, when I think of Joel and Ben, that is like the first thing. Like, they do not get their respect on the defensive end of the floor.
They should this year, because I think Ben Simmons has a strong case of defensive player of the year. There's no way within the next couple seasons that Ben Simmons isn't going to get credit for what he does defensively. It might have taken a little bit of time for him to get noticed, but it's sort of like Rudy Gobert. Once he was known as this guy who is that defensive player, it sticks with him. And I think at some point it's going to end up sticking with Ben Simmons. And with Joel Embiid, it's kind of already has, no? I mean, he's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA.
Yes. Yeah. Joel Embiid, I mean, because he was in the race for Defensive Player of the Year a couple years back. So, like, they've acknowledged him. But just like I said, with Ben Simmons, and if those are your two best players and they take defense that serious, to me, it's only a matter of time.
I'm with you. I hope you're right. Number 8. The next two are actually really interesting when comparing them to the big guys here. Number 8 is Damian Lillard and McCollum. And I just want to use those two as an example of you can have a great season and then the next year come back and it not be so great. And it doesn't mean it's time to blow everything up. And you literally had the Portland Trail Blazers making a deep run in the Western Finals last year. Mm-hmm. Not last year, the year prior. Then they return and they have a bad season. I always love relating that to the Sixers. They are in a bad season this year, but because they have a bad season this year, it doesn't mean that they're screwed forever. The same Portland Trail Blazers team, for the most part, with the same stars, which is what matters the most in the NBA, went on a legitimate run to the NBA Finals one year, and the next year, they didn't have a strong season. So it doesn't mean right now with the Sixers that they're having a bad season, we are doomed forever. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I can't follow that shit up.
Well, in this city, it's time to start trading everybody. Who can we get? I'm seeing reports about let's trade everyone to go get Devin Booker. Let's trade everyone to go get Chris Paul. That's just overreacting and being upset.
I mean, that's what fanatics do, shall I say. You know, at the end of the day, it's like those decisions, the sports teams, they can't get too high, too low. As fans, we want to see this shit happen yesterday. I get that. We've been trusting the process for a while, but I couldn't agree with you more. It's not time to just throw it all, nail everything in and just walk away.
If you had a trade on the table that said Ben Simmons for Damian Lillard, are you making that trade? Because I remember when the Ben Simmons talk started, there were very limited amount of people that I said I would actually do it for. And Damian Lillard fell on that list. That dude is legit. And I do believe that's not something I instantly say no to, which majority of the time it is. That's something I at least have to recognize, sit down, and process if it's really worth it. And I would lean towards, yes, I think Damian Lillard is that type of guy.
Yeah. He's a dog. And I've talked on here before about having that point guard that can, kind of play.
No Ben Simmons, though, with your scenario.
Yeah, but you have that guy who can, kind of have that 1-2 position that we really need and can score the shit out of the ball. And if Joel's doing what he needs on defense, I might have to take that one.
Okay, so even would you do the duo, or are you just doing, if we're just hypothetically speaking, you keep Joel Embiid and you would trade Ben Simmons for
I'm not taking the whole duo.
I don't think I would do the duo either.
That's another duo who I said I don't see any defense. You know what I mean? Two guys who can give you combined 70 a night if they really wanted to, but not a lick of defense.
Is that the league, though? I'm thinking about the Golden State Warriors right now, and Klay Thompson, for as offensive as he is, the dude is something else defensively as well.
No, he's locked down.
Right, and Draymond Green brings that defense as well, so I'm just trying to think, is that the league? Is the league, though, a bunch of guys who can score but not really play much defense? Now I'm thinking of championship caliber teams, though, and they do have both. I'm just trying to spitball in my brain here. Does it matter if you can't play defense individually from a star standpoint if you're surrounded by people like Draymond Green who can kind of provide that for you?
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said about the Warriors, obviously the first catalyst. As good as they were on offense, that is a defensive juggernaut. Like we said, you have two top 5 players. Draymond Green is a top 5 defender. You know what I mean? It sucks to say at times, but he really is. He covers multiple positions. He's always in passing lanes. He's good for a couple blocks. That is a top 5 defender. Klay Thompson, a top 5 defender. He's one of the best. I put Kawhi Paul George, and then him as the top in that order, the top 3 on-ball defenders in the league. Steph, yeah, they hide him from time to time, but he disrupts defense. People forget, like during those years they won, they had Iggy, they had Sean Livingston. Like the Warriors were as good on defense as explosive they were on offense, and that's why they ran off all those championships. You need defense to win. You need defense.
Where would you put Ben on that on-ball list?
On-ball defender.
The difference is those guys. Well, not Draymond so much, but the other. Well, no, I'm sorry, Draymond wasn't on that list. That list was. Can you repeat it again? It was Kawhi, Paul George
first.
Yeah, and Klay.
Kawhi, Paul George, and Klay is top 3.
Those guys are legitimate shooting threats as well, which just makes their game a totally different level. Not that Ben's not a threat downhill, but they're threats downhill and shooting the basketball as well, which just makes them that much more elite.
Yeah, it's funny because he's flip-flop because a lot of times, like, you'll hear guys say, like, what really makes somebody a 3 or a 4 is the fact that if you can go out on perimeter and defend a 3 or a 4. And all of them can do it because they're already good on offense. You don't have to worry about it. But with Ben Simmons, like you said, with the outside shot, it's kind of a knock. But to be honest, I'd rather have everything he has and a guy who plays defense versus a guy who can do his thing out there on the wing but couldn't stay in front of an orange cone if it's like depending on it.
Number 9 is Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker. Now, I think Jason Tatum is a guy that's going to be one hell of a player in this league. And Kemba, to me, is if you could point out a player that is above average, he's in that good category, who makes all-star games, but he's not a starter, and he's more towards the back end of the all-star game, who just has a really decent career, that's Kemba Walker. He's not special to me. He's definitely not bad. He's definitely not average. He's somewhere in between. He is an all-star, but he's not like an elite player. He's just good. I don't see how they're ranked this high on the list.
I gotta disagree.
You gotta disagree. You're a Kemba guy, like a legit Kemba guy.
I'm not a legit Kemba guy. I'm a fan of Kemba. I will say that, but not like through and through. Like I said, another guy who once I see the defensive end of the floor, it's like, you know what I mean? It kind of turns me off. But this duo of him and Jason Tatum, when those two are clicking, I don't see anybody. And the Celtics quietly had a good year. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't the loudest year out of them, but they quietly had a good year. And I would say in large part, if these two are doing their thing, you can't stop them.
I think Kemba Walker, I always relate this to, this is how I would say if a guy is it or not, if I would sacrifice going out and getting that player. Can you replace Kemba Walker? Is he a guy that you can find another player in the league to do what Kemba does? Maybe not exactly, but it wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to replace Kemba Walker, in my opinion. It's not that ridiculous to think that you could find an NBA player to do what Kemba Walker does.
I feel like Kemba Walker is a more aggressive Drew Holiday, a less aggressive Dame Lillard. So no, he's not that. I'm not saying he's not that hard to replace. He's not a high caliber player in both of those guys, but it's not like a unicorn. It's not like, Porzingis, where it's just like there is nobody else who has this skill set at that height, at that position. So yeah, I agree with you.
From individually, I would rather have Ben and Joel than both of those players. Like if you're talking about individual talent, I think individual talent, the Sixers have better talent than they do in terms of the duo.
Yeah.
So you don't think Jason Tatum is better than Ben Simmons?
No. I think as Philly fans, we get so stuck on the Jason Tatum thing because it's like, oh God, we could have had him, but it's just at the end of the day, his game doesn't. I couldn't imagine him and Joel on the same team. You know what I mean? Their games don't seem to really complement each other. I think Jason Tatum will take off once he starts to really lock down on defense. He's a lanky guy. He gets in passing lanes from time to time, but obviously there's no shortage of him in his first, his third or fourth year on offense. Like he will be one of the GOATs, if he stays in the Celtics uniform, but it's just, he's another guy. Needs some defensive piece around him to win.
So you're not doing the trade-off?
Hell no.
Okay.
No.
I think that's very debatable. I think that there would be a lot of people out there that would say, yeah, why not? There's this. Yeah, I'm telling you, there would definitely be people. And the narrative that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid doesn't work together, I don't get where that has come from. Why is that a narrative that these guys will never, ever work together in Philadelphia as if their games don't work? I don't see that being an issue. I think when you look at numbers this year, it didn't work with Ben, Joel, and Al Horford. Now, if you take Al Horford off the floor, Ben and Joel have numbers that look pretty damn good in this league. Did you know, though, that with those three on the floor, Joel, Ben, and Al Horford, their offensive rating was worse than the six. I don't remember if it was exactly worse or just as bad as, but either way, this matters. Just as bad as, let's go with the process years here in Sixers land.
I could believe it, man. That's stagnant. That is a stagnant ass offense. Who's cutting? Who's moving? Who has the ball? Who's taking the shot? Like, there are too many question marks in there. And like I said, I got the utmost respect for Al Horford, but I don't think his role for this team is out in front. I think he's that veteran guy. You know what's funny, bro? Jimmy Butler actually said on that podcast we talked about on the last one, when he started talking about, they said, who's a guy, obviously it was in a different context. They said, who's a guy who you wouldn't want to run into in a dark alley or something? And he said, Udonis Haslem. He also mentioned him as one of the OGs of the league. I feel like that's what Al Horford's role is on this team.
Look at you. Look at you.
Seriously.
Patting yourself on the back over there for bringing Haslam up a couple episodes ago. Oh, you're such a genius.
I'm serious, bro. I feel like his role is that guy that's just, number one, he's a great voice in the locker room. He takes great pride in it. He can teach the younger guys things. But is he the one out front? Not necessarily. But do you need him? Hell yeah. But
I don't know if he is the guy right now, though. That's the problem. Is he the guy? This is very similar to Doug Peterson last year. There was a time where the locker room fell apart. Alshon Jeffrey, is he the guy? Josina Anderson's in the mix. The biggest part of Doug Peterson's coaching is keeping the locker room together and having the guys rally. Well, if he's not doing that, well, what's he there doing? Very similar to Al Horford. If his role is to be that locker room guy, and he's not doing that based off of playing poorly on the court, not really enjoying what's going on this year, then what is he actually doing?
Yeah, I think he needs to take a step back. You just said it, playing poorly on the court. It's hard to be that guy in the locker room and a guy who goes out there and performs a certain way and gets X amount of minutes. If you're eating up X amount of minutes and you're not doing what people feel like you need to with it, you ain't going to get in the locker room and be hurt. You know what I mean? You dial back those minutes. Now his voice is a little more loud because you don't see him out there on the floor as much. But for him to be the guy that, like you said, when he's out there on the floor with the top two players, nothing's going anywhere. And then to come in the locker room and hear that same guy tell you something, you can be a little quicker to be like, all right, bro, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think they need to just dial it back just a little bit.
No, I agree with that. And for him to be the stretch four now, popping all those threes, I don't love it. But there are plenty of times where he's wide open. He is wide open, and he's just not making his shots. And that goes on him for not making his shots. If he is open, we're talking about a pro basketball player. Now, he doesn't need to be taking 8 or 9 threes. That is a little ridiculous, in my opinion. The stretch four did not work for him. But sometimes it was on him just not executing as well.
No, absolutely. I can't even defend him on that. You got to make the shots that they give you, especially if you're the guy on offense that's open. But like I said, if you dial down his minutes, he goes from, 18, 19 minutes to about 10. All of a sudden, no shots. You can dictate him a little bit more. He's a little more ready. He's not as winded. It's just, there's a million things we can say about Al Horford. I just don't think he should be out there in front as much as he is.
Couldn't agree more. Now, we're going to skip around a little bit because there's one duo that really stands out to me. At 10, we're at 10 at this point. CP3 and Gallinari, I don't think that's even a conversation. Yeah, exactly. 11 is Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, although now you're hearing reports that Donovan Mitchell is not even going to acknowledge Rudy Gobert anymore based off of what happened. I don't know how serious those reports are. Shams from The Athletic is the one reporting it.
That shit don't even sound right. If they have a problem of something from the season and this was it, yeah. But you telling me he's sick of him because he got sick with him?
Well, did you see what Rudy Gobert was doing?
Yeah, I get that, but It's just like that's enough to break up two max guys.
Well, I think this is why you need context. What if Donovan Mitchell told this guy a million times, yo,
take this shit serious.
Yes, and he wouldn't, and he wouldn't, and he wouldn't, and he wouldn't, and then at some point, like, dude, I literally have the coronavirus because of you. If it gets to that level, I can see it being serious. If it's a one-time thing and it was very accidental and it's clear that Rudy Gobert is upset about it and he's bothered by it and he made a mistake, I think it's a different way to feel. But if it's the scenario we laid out where he was constantly like, yo, dude, get the hell away from me, and he wasn't, then that's a problem. Now, I almost felt for a fake Twitter account by Barry. Do you know the famous Twitter troll Barry? No, Barry my cockiner? That's okay. He puts out these fake tweets and he goes crazy and he changes his Twitter picture to famous people and he tries to get people sucked in. Well, he put on a long thread about how Donovan Mitchell told Rudy Gobert to stay away, but Rudy felt so passionate about him, he started kissing him on the lips, and I'm like, what is going on here? What the hell is this? And I started reading it, and it got so obnoxious, and I'm like, hold on, this has to be Barry. So I clicked on the account, little did I know, how about that? It was Barry. I almost got sucked right into it.
I was about to say, this shit's like a game of telephone. This is a story to get passed from person to person.
Those people, though,
they help drive people.
Well, Barry has been all over the place. He's been on Fox Sports. He's been on ESPN. There was a report about what's his name? Colin Kaepernick getting signed, and people ran with it. Now, I don't know if that was Barry or not. It might have been another internet troll, but it was written in newspaper articles. It was written all over the place, and it was a fake Twitter account.
That's a damn shame.
Yeah, read those damn @ signs, because that'll change the difference. But the problem was he was actually tagging Adam Schefter, and Adam Schefter would reply to every tweet saying, I did not say this, because he's tagging Adam Schefter. People automatically assume that, well, if Adam Schefter's saying it, they don't dig deeper.
That's the problem, man.
It is the problem. All right, here is the one that I think is interesting to an extent, because I think Pascal Siakam is going to be a really good player in this league. Mm-hmm. Kyle Lowry and Siakam. I'm not saying that I would do the trade for Ben and Joel, because you saw that without Kawhi Leonard, it's not the same.
It's not even a game.
But Pascal Siakam has now arguably been the most improved player 2 years in a row, and I don't see it stopping. You would think at some point he would cap out, but I don't see him stopping anytime soon. Maybe you wouldn't do it for the two guys that we have here, but what do you think about that duo as a whole?
I love them, and I honestly would swap them out for Jason Tatum. I would put them in that 8 slot, if anything, if not higher up. The fact what did they finish? Second in the East post Kawhi? Like, everybody thought after Kawhi this team would be over. You know
I
what
was
I mean?
one of them. I was definitely one of them.
And they still did their thing. I root for Kyle for my own personal reasons. We know that, but like, finished.
I don't think you're gonna like my Kyle Lowry take then.
Oh man,
dude, listen. It's weird because you would think that would be something that stands out to me, and it does. I get it.
He sells the shit out of a charge.
He bitches so much. It kills me. I get LeBron complaints. I get these guys complain. It's part of the NBA. This guy, I don't get it. He is the biggest bitch in the world. See, I'm a Pat Beverly guy. You might drop 60 on me and I look stupid, but you wouldn't know the next possession that guy was going for 62 based off of like how I'm playing defense against you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you have 65. I'm going to play with that attitude. Like, I'm going to play with that way. But Kyle Lowry, to me, if a finger touches him, he throws the ball, he looks around, he's complaining offensively. He's just a bitch, and I can't stand it. I don't even give him Philadelphia props. That's how much I can't stand him. And this is coming from a South Jersey guy, which is a huge violation. Your thoughts?
I cannot disagree more, man. I love Kyle. Don't get me wrong. The times I had to play against him, I hated him. He is a pain in the ass. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys around the league would say that, but he's a winner. And I think the most admirable thing was his team last year. Kawhi came in, did his thing, and I'm not going to say he took a back seat, but he let that guy be that guy for the sake of a championship. To me, I had to give hats off for that. It's like, I ain't about to sit up here and read off the damn, column on how great Kyle Lowry is, but god damn, I gotta give him the damn Philly props.
Nope.
He looks out for us.
Philly people don't bitch like that.
He a little theatrical. He getting his bag sometimes.
I'm questioning your knowledge about basketball. That's what I'm doing right now.
Not Kyle, man. Not Kyle. Brian bitches.
Oh, no. Everyone bitches, but it's to what level of bitch do you take it? And
It's the
he
fact that Brian
is on
looks
another
like-
level.
It's the fact that Brian looks like Thanos and he complains the way he does.
Kobe
And
never complained.
I'm not saying he don't be getting like flicked or touched or whatever, but it's every time, bro. Every time. Kobe was not that bad. Kobe was not that bad.
Did he ever complain?
He complained, but he was not that bad. He was not that. Brian gets hit, lays down for 10 minutes, gets up all dramatic. Get your big ass up. Like, I'm not saying.
Time out right now. While I agree with you, how you don't say the same about Lowry, though, that's hypocritical.
Because he's like 6 foot. It's a different dude.
But it doesn't matter. He's still acting. He's still complaining. He's still pretending like it was a big deal. Oh, I can't stand him. I can't stand him. Yeah. I swear I would beat him one-on-one.
Hold on, quick story. He's one of those people that is not. I really, and I hate to blame it on this. It has to come to competitiveness. He will not let you win. One time he came back and played with us in the summer, and he was like, it was the young guys versus the old heads. And obviously he's on the old heads team. He told us we're going to a series of 5. And we won 3 games. And he was like, no, we're going to 7. This is league shit. And he kept calling travel, foul.
That's embarrassing. You're defending my point right now.
But the bottom line was like, he ain't gonna let us win. And I feel like that's what it is, those guys in the NBA. As much as I give LeBron shit, it's just like, listen, the attitude's like, I'm not going to lose for the sake of looking like the bigger man. I'm going to walk away with the ring.
No. Listen, see, you are defending me. It's great. So he's losing, right? He's losing, so he's like, hold on, let's add games to the series so I don't lose. All right,
yeah, I wonder. They pulled the old head rule. Yeah, I ain't like that shit.
That's problem number 1. And then we're playing pickup ball, and this guy who's all about grit and D and just playing he plays a style of like street ball out on the court, right? He's going to start calling travels? Oh, come on. He's a loser.
But it won't just be travels. It'll be charges. It'll be all that. And LeBron is the guy who has those issues and leaves.
Oh, don't leave it. LeBron wins in 3, and he doesn't even have to extend it to 7. That's what he does. What a joke. All right, we're going to end with this. That was phenomenal, by the way. That's fantastic. Kyrie and KD were not on the list because they didn't play together. Which, hey, listen, if they start the season back up, what if those two just came back ready to play and they dominated the league? That would be something. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. But where would you put them on this list?
That's hard because I got to be honest. I don't have a ton of faith in that duo. It's a lot of ice.
You're a KD guy, though, right? I mean,
to me, KD's the best player in the world.
In the world?
Yeah.
Over Kawhi?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you that I might not like KD. I don't hate KD either. I don't really have an emotion about him. Like Kyle Lowry, you bring up that name and here comes the face that turns red, or LeBron's name gets brought up and I'm like, oh, let's go. I'm smiling, right? With KD, I really do enjoy watching him play from a style of play. I mean, it's perfection. The way he can like shoot off the dribble is crazy. He just, it's smooth as hell. So I really do enjoy watching him play. Like the greatness is beautiful to me in sports. So he is definitely that, but I don't have that passion about him when I hear his name. I just feel he's a little bit soft and insecure when it comes to, Twitter and whatnot, which is a fair assessment, I'd say.
Yeah, I can't defend him on the Twitter thing. He got caught with that burner account.
I don't know if I could put him over Kawhi right now, only because this is the only reason why I'll say that. Kawhi won with the Raptors, who had great pieces, who went on beautiful runs during that playoff series. There's no way that Kawhi would have won without Kyle Lowry, with Siakam, with Van Vliet coming off the bench, and Marc Gasol. Like, they wouldn't have won without the pieces. That's how championships work to an extent. You need superstars. But I haven't seen KD do that yet without the Golden State Warriors. So, without Steph Curry, without Klay Thompson, without that team, until I see him do that with a Toronto team where you have a Kyle Lowry and a Pascal Siakam, who are good players, but they're not on the level of Curry and Klay Thompson, until I see that, I don't know if I can put him over Kawhi. So is he Is he second? I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not putting him over LeBron either, so he's third on my list. But I don't think that's disrespectful to him. That's just showing how elite the top are.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that's fair. I still got him with Kawhi just because of what he has grown into in the defensive end. Obviously, it's not Kawhi, but it's way more efficient than his OKC days. And I'm hoping that he does what you talked about, which is taking the team to a championship with Brooklyn. I'm hoping they get the pieces around them. I kind of think that was the whole point of getting a DeAndre Jordan, hoping you could get the pieces around them that make that team whole enough on the defensive end to where they could win the championship, because I think they are similar in that way. I do think that they are two guys who they kind of, they drum to their own beat, that they're just a little bit different than a lot of guys in the NBA. But Kawhi has it and KD doesn't. So I got to give you that. Yeah,
the duo would be interesting, though, because Kyrie is a good individual talent. He struggled when he wasn't with LeBron. I mean, LeBron went to Cleveland. They went on that run. Before that, he was on the Cavs, and they stunk every year. Yeah. They weren't anything special. So adding KD will definitely help him. They're boys, so I think that would maybe help the locker room stuff. You go to Boston and you don't have someone as your, they're definitely good friends. So I think that would be huge for that type of culture. But there is something to be said about how much noise surrounding Kyrie in the locker room. So I don't know how it would work out. If I had to put them in the list, it would be hard just based off of how great Kevin Durant is and basing this off of me believing this is an analytical approach to the list. So I would have to put him somewhere underneath of that Kawhi and Paul George. I would say maybe just outside the top 5, maybe 6, 7.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Maybe 6, 7. I would put them above Jokic and Murray.
Well, here's the problem. Like Jimmy and Adebayo's in there. I would put them over them, but they're in the top 5. So I would have to rewrite this whole list as we would have done anyway. But based off of this list, it would probably fall, if I had to guess, in that 6, 7 range.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting. It's fun. I think people forget the emotional component with those two of Kyrie and KD. You're dealing with two guys who are kind of tired of getting called number 2, and you have these like number 2s. It's crazy to think that somebody can consider those number 2s. It's ridiculous. But these number 2 type of guys, you put them on the same team together, and the emotional component would make it seem like that's going to make sense off bat. Like they're going to figure it out for the sake of saying we didn't keep getting called number 2. We went out there and won one together. But it's only one ball, and that's a lot of ISO buckets. You know what I mean? It's going to be funny how they kind of mold each other's game around it, but that's what I'm saying. I can't wait for it. I can't wait until we get to next season.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in real time.
And they fired Kenny Atkinson, which is very, very odd at the time. And I liked what he brought to the table. Is he the coach? I don't know. To me, he's another coach in the NBA that's just a little bit above average. He's nothing special. He's nothing awful, but he can totally get the job done if surrounded by the right pieces. Only time will tell, though. So hey, with that being said, I think this is the perfect time to end episode 3 of Processed. They will be released every Monday and Thursday at 6 a.m., so be on the lookout for that. And so with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.